has started. Um, Let me just improve the views here. But firstly, I like to announce that I've continued to sell my assets, and I'm now only at or already at 75% cash and only 25% long still in 15% exposure to Tesla and 10% to crypto. Um, and for me, what really convinces me is what I've learned thanks to the past bear market of crypto, where I was again a majority long, even at the top. Yes, I sold some, but I still was long with the majority of my capital, and due to that, I lost 80% of my portfolio in 2018. And that was a shocker. And the lesson I learned from it is that next time I am in a situation where it is very likely that the market will go down, I will not be long. Not by 60% as I was, but also not by 20% or by 10%. No, I will be long 0%. And in fact, I'll be short because if it's very likely that the market will go down, how do you make money? By being long? No. No, it's all losing positions. Doesn't matter what you have. Crypto, stocks, gold likely will even go down the next month as the coronavirus clearly continues to spread exponentially. It will be in all countries and not just a few cases, but more and more. And just like it happened in China, it will be to such an extent that people panic and don't come out of their houses anymore, and business shuts down and people stop buying stuff. That's what happened in China in February. Car sales collapsed with 80%. After it already went down by 10% or so last year, now it went down by another 80%. Of course, that's you never see that. You only see that with massive black swan events, and they are not actually black swans because Bill Gates predicted a couple of years back that it is extremely likely we'll get another pandemic sooner or later, a worldwide pandemic killing 1% of the population. It is actually very likely. It happens so often, but most of the time it gets contained soon enough, and it's not so viral. But sooner or later you'll have one that's really uh, very bad. And it's been a long time. I never had one in my life. Yes, some in the news items like swine flu or Ebola, but never at my door. And it took. It's at least 50 years ago. More likely, it was 1957. There was one also, but it's 1918 is the last big pandemic. So that's exactly 100 years ago that we had the last big pandemic that killed 1% of the population. So it is very comparable to the 2008 credit crisis, because that only happens once every 100 years that you have a serious financial credit crisis. So we have something to look at as a reference, what we can expect. And we can expect a 50% correction of the market, as happened in 2008. Okay, we're in a long-term bull market for stocks, that's true, but so maybe it will be only 30%, but that's still at least double as much as what we've seen. So, I mean, that's very likely. So, very likely, if you are going to go short on the market, and for example, short, my idea is I'm looking into car manufacturers, automakers, because you have a double margin of safety there. Like, even if the coronavirus stops spreading soon and markets have seen their low already and we go up from here, certain auto manufacturers are likely to go broke due to the BEV revolution, the EV revolution. electronic vehicles is a big innovation, and also self-driving, autonomous driving is a very big innovation in the car industry, and most legacy automakers won't make it. They will go broke because they are just like for any industry. When you have big innovations happening by a certain player, uh, while most are not quick enough to adapt and go broke. So uh, that's very likely to happen even if this threat of the coronavirus fades away. But with this threat, actually, it's very likely everything will cool down. Even companies like Tesla, who are leading revolution in an industry and clearly are gaining massive market share and making great margins, even companies like that will be cut by 50% easily from the top. Just like it happened in 2008 credit crisis, company like Apple that I just released the iPhone was killing it, selling phones, very expensive phones like hot dogs with great margins. Well, still it was cut by 50%. So even the best companies get cut by 50%, but the worst companies, like that's the head is chopped off. Huh? It's over and out for them. As happened with so many companies in 2008 credit crisis, those that were already weak finished. Huh? And so many legacy automakers are at the are sucking from the government tits on all sides and have gone broke before. Like GM, for example, went also broke in 2008, but got bailed out. Actually, not the stockholders, but and not the bondholders, but the company got survived it by wiping all those out, and is still producing cars today, but with very but not competitively. Like for example, with the EV revolution, of course, they are way too late to get started on that. They're just selling stories about EVs, but not actual cars. So, but there are so many automakers that are not competitive. I'm still studying it, but I think instead of being long anything, being short some of these companies is most likely to make money over the next few months. And so instead of sitting on losses, this way you can sit on profits as the market corrects, and thereby also being able to buy great companies like Tesla and cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash, but considerably cheaper than they are today, but with more capital. So I think that's a very good strategy that I am working on. But in this live chat, I also would like to talk about how to protect yourself against coronavirus. But I will get to that a little bit later. I mean, then not your portfolio, but your life, and your family and your loved ones. But that's for later. Let me take a look at the comments. Hi all, welcome to the live show. I'm reading the comments silently, and I'll pick out the ones that I want to respond to. One moment. Yes, we can be interrupted by my beautiful daughter, Joy. So I'm sorry for that in advance. Yes, that's correct. I'm long on fiat right now, as I have a lot of cash now. And of course, fiat is a bad investment. That's why I also am interested to go short, actually, because being short is basically a bet that something will go down, and that has a much higher probability than, for example, a bet that cash will go up in value. That's actually not likely. Of course, cash compared to certain items will go up in value, as if you have a market crash will go up in value versus stocks or versus cryptos, but other items will go up a lot in price also due to the crisis, such as, I don't know, medical equipment, food supplies, what else? Yeah, all kind of things that people need will go up, because on one hand, yes, people are not buying cars anymore now and soon, now in China and soon in the world, but people are buying lots of toilet paper and hand sanitizer and foods, much more food than they would normally buy to stock up, and medicines to prepare. Of course, also those masks, many more will be sold. So certain items do get sold a lot more also. But I do believe that the quarterly numbers of the first quarter will be terrible. Huh? Like many companies will sell a lot less, as people, like, yeah, they do shut down their expenses. They don't do any, like, travel will totally come to a standstill, and is coming to a standstill actually. If you hear the reports, and so many things will, people won't spend money, and just like the credit crisis, and the evidence is right there. In China, 80% less cars sold. That's a total shocker. That's very very rare to happen. But is this priced into the market? No, because the market is down 12% to be exact. The S&P 500 as of today, the peak was 3,400 points. We're now at 3,000 or 2,970. So that's 12% correction. That's very small. If we correct like 30%, it's very reasonable for a crisis like this, and it would bring us only to the levels of 2016 or so. I think that's very likely to happen. Um, Why not gold instead of cash? Yeah, many people talk about gold, but gold is at almost near its all-time high of $1,800 in 2011, and is in a long-term bear market. And people that don't understand that, they should just look at my sheet, 100-year returns. It's very clear that the commodity cycles, the period where gold goes up is very rare. It's only every 30 years or so that you have a commodity cycle, and we just had one 10 years ago. So it's very like, and also production is still going up massively of all these items, gold included, which means that price is still much cheaper than production costs, which means that there won't be any shortage of gold anytime soon, as production is still expanding rapidly. This is true for all commodities, even oil that is at $40. And you could say that's relatively low, but clearly not low enough, because production is expanding still like crazy. Huh? So no, commodities are a very bad investment, especially during crisis, because who's interested to buy gold or coffee? Yeah, coffee. Yeah, I mean, energy consumption goes down a lot. Oil commodities crash on in crisis like this, because well, people consume a lot less on average, and so the need for it goes down a lot, the demand, and the same is true for gold, because only misguided people buy gold to protect themselves against a crisis like this. Because what you're gonna do with your gold when in a month's time you're living at home and you want to buy cheap assets, but gold will very likely be sold in the markets. This is really not a good hedge, not a way to make money in this crisis. Um, yeah, it's just already valued way too high, and it won't come into usage. For example, like a crisis like this will, for example, when it comes to monies, which monies will be used more? Well, digital money, of course, will be used more, and not cash, not bills, and not physical gold, huh? Because it transfers the virus. Huh? So it's not a good idea to invest in gold. Um, Let me look at the comments. Um, yes, respirator machine makers is probably a good investment. Yes, like there is a massive shortage of these machines right now, and very soon, and it's really necessary for 5% of the people that get the virus get into serious respiratory problems, don't have enough oxygen, and really need manual help to get enough oxygen through their lungs, because that's exactly what the virus attacks, is the lungs. Like a flu, you get a cough, but it's much worse than that. Your lungs are being attacked severely. You don't get enough oxygen. So yeah, if you can post maybe some names of such companies, of course they will likely go up a lot, as their demand will explode over the next few months. Yeah, about traveling, many people say, "Why don't you leave Africa, and go to a country where you have more a better medical support system?" Of course, I've thought about that, but yeah, things develop so fast. That's the problem with a virus like this, and you don't really have the time to relocate, for example, unless you want to take the risk of traveling. And I think that's not wise right now. I've only come to that insight really only the past 2 days, thanks to talking with people about it. But I was planning to do that. But of course, you have passport issues. My girlfriends and babies, they don't have the same passport as me, and so they need more tourist visas, or they can't just go live, for example, in Europe like I can. And so they would be there on tourist visas, which is already a problem. But there are some countries we can go to without tourist visas, and everybody can, like for example Malaysia and Singapore, and that's really great. But um, the problem is in traveling. Traveling is very risky, because just like going to hotels and restaurants and public spaces where every day other people pass by and sit in those equipments and places, the coronavirus spreads especially via surfaces, and not via the air, unless someone coughs in your face. But usually it's the person that has it infects areas around him, and then you pass those areas, you touch it, and then you touch your mouth, and then you got it. And that's why the masks are very valuable, because the masks protect you against touching your face all the time, your mouth and your nose and your eyes. That's how you get it, usually not via the air. And so you really need to avoid all the places where lots of other people come also. And if you do, you have to be wearing that mask, because otherwise you touch it and then you touch your face and then you got it. So you wear the mask to protect you in such public face places. And also you need to really disinfect your hands the moment you come inside, or you're in a safe place, before you take off the mask and before you start touching your face, and even after, because the mask may have the virus. So you need to be very careful how you take off the mask, and also how you take off your clothes, so that if it's on your clothes, that you don't infect yourself. So a lot of extra care is needed. It's really like trying to avoid the flu, or a cough during flu season. It's not an easy task. I've never paid attention to that, but you really need to pay attention to a lot of things to not get that. And the problem right now is that once it spreads in a certain country, the hospitals are overloaded, and that's what causes a high death rate, because you don't have the emergency care that you need. So the best thing, because that's even true for developed countries, though Singapore, for example, is doing very well, but like Italy, for example. Yeah, I think the data is pretty high because the hospitals are overloaded, huh? And and so the first job is to really avoid to be infected the first 3 to 6 months right now, because you're going to get into a medical system that is not able to help you very well, huh? And that's true in Africa as it is true in the developed world. So but so traveling is really not advisable right now, because that will increase your chances a lot, especially via airports, because you have all these security checks, all these people that work for security. They've been in contact with many coronavirus people that have passed there, because the people think that there's only a few hundred of coronavirus infected in their country. That's not true. You can probably tenfold that, huh, already, because most people go undetected. It can take 7 days, even 14 days before you show symptoms of becoming sick. And most people don't become really sick. They have a fever or a cough, and then they recover from it 80%. So they don't really get serious health issues. But they do spread it to 2 people, 3 people at least. So it goes very fast. But if you don't want to get it, you don't want to be in contact with hostesses on airplanes, all the food that's being served there by those people, and drinks, and security checks. And then there's the risk, of course, of being falsely diagnosed. Maybe you have a fever, but it's just a flu, but you will probably be quarantined with all the corona patients, without any freedom to choose. That scares me. If you start traveling, they might pick you out, and then you're stuck in a country where you have no contacts, and are totally at the fate of those people. And then, of course, there's, if you travel as a tourist, you don't have any security. They can kick you out the country, or you have to jump borders all the time to be able to stay in a country and go through all these security checks. It all increases a lot, you being contaminated. So I think best for me is to stay here in Kenya, and really focus on preparing and on quarantining, and preparing my girlfriends to live a life in isolation for the next few months, so that we don't get infected. I think that's the most important you can do right now, and it requires a lot of work and a lot of change of habits, but you can also get a lot of good from it, I believe. For me, for example, I'm a workaholic. I love working a lot, but it also means I don't I have a hard time spending enough quality time with my girlfriends and children, and but I can't ignore that any longer, because now they can't be in contact with their family as before, not physically, because that just is too high of a chance of contamination. It means that I have to do a lot of the functions that the family did, which is giving them company, and fun, and care, extra support for the babies. So, and yeah, I think all these things can be a good thing also, to spend more time together. Let me look at the comments. Hi Ryan Giffen, nice to see you. The reason why why you should panic, or take this very serious, is the exponential growth is very clear. You can't trust the numbers of China, but I think you can trust the numbers of the international community much more, and it's clearly spreading virally, which means exponentially. On a logarithmic chart, it goes like this, like this, and logarithmic is tenfolding every time at a constant rate. That's clearly the case with the amount of infected people internationally, and we're at 10,000. The next step in 2 weeks is 100,000 in 1 week and a half. And in 3 weeks and a half, we are at 1 million people that are confirmed infected, and this will really, very likely, just crash the markets, and crash business the way it happened already in China. So you should panic for that reason. so that you take it serious, so that you prepare. Huh? Yes, let me take a look. Patrick McNeil says that crypto might be the only thing that could possibly go higher in a deepening crisis. I think this is very, very naive. Very naive. It's like saying that Van Gogh paintings will very likely go down as one of the only assets in a more serious crisis. Look who's here, beautiful girl that wants to terrorize daddy right now, but we're not gonna allow that to happen. Bye bye. uh, but Van Gogh paintings are very beautiful, but the highest price are bid at the peak of prosperity, when people have, when markets are blooming and people are feeling very rich. The highest prices are paid for art and supercars, and high risk assets belong to the same category, which is cryptocurrencies. It's a high risk asset. Um, the yeah, it's that's very clear. If you look at how it responds, for example, the past few weeks to the corona crisis, is down. Because people want security. People don't experience Bitcoin as a secure investment, even though it is indeed a currency that you can own without counterparty risk. 90% or 95% of people that own it don't own it for that reason. They own it because they hope that more and more people will adopt it and that it will go up in value. And so it's a speculative asset for the most part. And therefore, when people the most people that hold it, when they start to believe that maybe I should go to safety and I should maybe have cash instead of crypto or stocks or real estate, they just sell some for cash, and that's why the demand supply favors lower prices, because more people want to sell some for cash. And there are not many people that come into the market saying like, hey, actually I think crypto is a very good long-term investment, and even for the corona crisis it's a digital currency, so actually it should go up, and it's more valuable, and you know what, I'm gonna start using crypto now instead of fiat. So let me just invest all my monies into crypto. Very few people think like that. So the demand supply favors lower prices because there's more supply than demand, just like it is for supercars and Van Gogh paintings. Let's see. Hi all, welcome to the live show. I hope you're all good. We are at 84 people, and that means that chances are that one of the people, one person that is watching this show will die due to the corona crisis over the next 2 months, because the death rate is 1% of infectees, and that's all ages included. Actually, it's much more the older people that die from it, and not the young people. And I suspect that the people that watch this show are on average around 40 or so. So yeah, I think we will reach that 1%, and that means that this person would not have died if the coronavirus was not there. So that's the reality that we are in, and that will likely be the case already in 2 months' time. That one person that watched this show, and we're only with 8 people, 80 people died due to this coronavirus infection. That's something very serious. So on one hand you can look at investing, and yes, it's very clear, I think, what the probabilities are here for a market correction is very high. So you should not be long, you should be short the market. but much more important is indeed our lives. Huh? So what can we do um, um, to protect ourselves? I think, of course, these masks are important, but if you're too late with that, I think, and also with hand sanitizer, right now it's really to the time to go guerrilla because you can still do that. Guerrilla solutions, self-made solutions. That means that you should start wearing masks, even self-made masks, because even though it won't filter the air, it will avoid you from touching your face. If when you go public, you do a bandage around your nose and your mouth so that you don't touch after you touch infected spaces, and that's anything where other people have been. Can be in the shop, the shopping cart, products you've been touching, your bank cards you've been touching, and you given to other people, the bank thing where you pin the code. Um, like it's droplets that are on those that will infect you. So if we wear a mask, you will avoid touching your face after you touched share spaces, elevator, the buttons, doors, handles. You really have to stop opening doors with your hands. You have to try to use your elbow. Touch elevator buttons not with your finger but with your knuckle. And always disinfect the moment you come in the house, the moment you're going to go eating, because it's not via the air, it's via your hands that you usually get infected. um, but also it sticks to clothing. It survives for 7 days, the virus, when it's on your clothing somewhere. So let's say you use your elbows but you just throw the shirt around, you don't push it in the washing machine, while that shirt may end up having the virus on it, and then 2 days later you touch it or your child touches it and catches it, and it goes to you later. So yeah, let me look at the questions or comments. Gold is going up. Stop lying. I'm sorry. It could be indeed that it's up. But you have to look at the small indicators, like when the market tanks. Let's say it goes down 10% in a week, like it did then last week. There, what happened with gold then? Did it also go down or up? Huh? I think it went down. That's why I said that. Huh? But it's holding pretty well indeed, and it's been going up more than I expected. It's true that we're pretty close to the point where I will be proven wrong, because when gold breaks its all-time high of $1,800, well, that's very unlikely to happen when you're in a bear market. And so um, well, that's a big red flag that I'm wrong, and that for some reason, yes, we're in a bull market for gold, but we still have to reach that point. We're not there yet, and I don't think we'll make it. I don't think it's likely, even though we're very close to it. Thanks for coming in the chat, John Mort, and thank you all for joining. 88 people. I think that's close to a record for me. Nice to see you all. Yes, Ryan, I don't invest in dividend stocks, just growth stocks. Yes, I don't think that's the way to make money by investing in dividend stocks. No. Because it's like evidence that these companies have no creativity. Why, as an entrepreneur, you would pay out a dividend? There are so many opportunities in the world. That cash you need to build the opportunities out why would you pay out that cash to investors? It means you have no vision. You're not building. You're just paying out. It means you have no creativity. So it's just evidence that you're investing in a slow-growing company per definition. Otherwise, they would invest their money in growth opportunities. I'm looking at the comments. Mark, have you stockpiled food? Yes, I'm starting to prepare. I've been preparing for 1 month for the coronavirus. Obvious items like food, but also like baby milk and toiletries and yeah, toilet paper and all these kind of things. But most importantly, like hand sanitizer and a disinfectant for your house. You really have to keep your house clean, and the areas that you touch often in the kitchen and the toilet and all need to be disinfected often, and your table, your desk, and yeah, all these things very important to have also those supplies because they run out very quickly in case of a crisis like this. So you have to stockpile it. But also, you don't want to be going to the shop when everybody is panicking. Like you're standing in line close to many other people, and there is nothing to buy. That's a very high risk situation to catch the virus and not even come home with anything worth mentioning. So you have to do this in advance. So Trenton Niles says that the coronavirus is stopped spreading exponentially in China. That's true. If you look at the numbers, it's going down. The amount of new cases every day is going down in China. So that's very good news. But first of all, it might be a total lie. You can't trust the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to give you any numbers that are truthful. Because image is everything there, and the CCP Communist Party, like all political parties, but especially that one, wants to always look good. And damn the numbers. The numbers are there to make them look good, not to represent reality. So but even if they would be true, these numbers, then how did China achieve that? By massive shutdown of the economy, massive quarantine. In I think it was a total of about 400 million people that were obligated to stay home, but also wanted to stay home, because the moment the Chinese government lifts the quarantine, people still stay home out of fear to catch the virus. So, and you look at the numbers, it's a total collapse of the economy. Still today, 40% less energy is consumed. But look at sales numbers, car sales collapsed by 80%, for example. So, yeah, even if the numbers are true and they have contained the spread of the virus successfully, then it came at a very big cost for the economy and for the people. And so I think that's most likely what's to happen in the world. Also, the same what happened in China. Yes, it will continue to spread virally, tenfolding every two weeks, and in about 1 month time, the world will be, not just China, but the total world will be in panic, because in every country it will be spreading virally and fast and exponentially, and only then people will change all their habits and quarantine themselves and make sure they don't get infected, and take all kind of very annoying measures you have to take, but that's the only way to really protect yourself, and people will only do that when it's at their doorstep, and they have to. So I think that's what's going to happen worldwide, and we will see, yes, we will succeed in containing the viral spread, but only after, I don't know how much percent of the population is infected. I don't know the number, but it will be a high percentage that's already infected, and only then people will change their ways, and only then the spread will stop to grow exponentially, and we will see what happens in China today, that new cases go down instead of up every day. And but that will come at a massive cost for the economy, because what happened in China will happen globally. eventually people will stop going to work, business will shut down. It's already happening right now. Facebook shut its offices, Microsoft shut it. Just one discovery of one employee that's infected, and like it's just getting shut down for obvious reasons. So it will get a lot worse than that, and it will affect therefore markets severely, because the numbers will come out also, and they will be very bad. The amount of sales that most businesses will do in the first quarter of this year will be a lot less than normal. So yeah, I do think it's very, very justified to protect yourself today against all that, because that's not priced in the markets whatsoever yet, I believe. Yes, the goal is to postpone your exposure. It's for your self-interest. You really don't want to be infected the next few months, because the medical system will be overwhelmed, and that really lowers your chance of survival. But it's also for the group. You really don't want the group to be like the infection rate can go like this, huh? Or it can go like this. Yeah? And it will go like this without any measures taken. People will get infected very quickly, but you also quickly very reach the peak where there's just no more people to be infected, and so it goes down quicker also. But the healthcare system can't take such amount of people, because 5% of people need intensive care, and that's not available. So what you want to do, what you want to achieve as a group, is that the infection rate goes slower up, and you do that by really avoiding to get infected, and that's why so many politicians really do the wrong thing today. They should really say to people, okay, cancel all events, um, advise people to cancel all events, to stop giving handshakes, to start isolating themselves, to start buy the necessary supplies that you will need. Like that's the right advice. But politicians, they do the inverse of. They're like, it's fine. We are in control and we are preparing, and you don't have to do anything because we have it. We are doing everything you need to do. And look, the hospitals are preparing, and it's not yet in our country. Don't worry, but it may come. But it's already, of course, in most countries right now. It's only obvious. It's only logical. It's like asking, is there life in other than on planet Earth, in the universe? Yes, extremely likely, yes, because there are billions of planets. So yes, probably some planets will have it. It's the same question. In Kenya here, they claim there is no spread yet. It's not there yet, but it will probably come. But that makes no sense. Of course, it's in Kenya already, and in every country already. Because of how quickly it spreads, and because of how connected we all are. It's only one flight away that you are from countries like China, or we are all very connected, so it spreads very quickly, and it's been spreading since December. So it's already in all countries, and that will become very clear as more and more people get tested. That yeah, the numbers go up rapidly once you start testing, which in most countries is not the case. In Kenya, how many people are tested? 10 people, maybe 100 people, nothing. More people die than every day than the amount of people that get tested. So, but that will all change very quickly. So I think when it comes to which companies to short, I really like the automakers. Rewatch the show Why Legacy Automakers. I discussed in the beginning, but which companies? I think just like in a bull market, everything goes up. In a bear market, everything goes down. So you can't really you don't have to put too much thought into it. But I'll probably go with the track record is super important. I want companies that have already failed in the past. Always a good sign they will fail again. So when it comes to American automakers, yeah, Ford or GM. Well, Ford actually survived as the only car company in the US that didn't go broke yet. except for new companies like Tesla. But from the old legacy car makers, Ford is the only one that actually succeeded in not going broke. So that's a very good track record. GM, on the other hand, went broke 10 years ago, and the stock didn't do anything the past 10 years. So they just is a very good candidate, I think, to short. And in Europe, you have many companies, car makers that being held alive by their local governments. In Germany, you have plenty. In France, and so these car makers are probably very good companies to short, because governments will probably also bail out less car makers once they realize, like, yeah, I mean, there is a revolution, it's becoming electric, and you have companies like Tesla growing fast, so why should we continue to bail these guys out? I think in the 2008 crisis there was much more appetite to bail out automakers, for example, to save jobs than there is today. So so they might not get bailed out again and go broke. So that means there's huge upside still from here, even though these shares have dropped already, maybe 20% from the top or so. While there's still a long way to go to zero, and to zero they might certainly go, just like they did in the past already. Like GM went to zero already 10 years ago. Let me see. What kind of masks? So the N95 masks are the best. They filter the most, but they are very hard to come by these days. Uh, Even the surgical masks, these big labs that are clearly not closing, actually are good for the reasons I've mentioned before in the live show. Take a look at it if you missed it. Hi, Cryptomedius. So this is one of my followers or viewers that has shared that he has a high fever. So I hope you're okay, Cryptomedius. It was good to hear that things are not escalating with you. And please keep me up to date if you have it. Um, uh, Most people, even if they catch it, they have no problems, especially if you're younger. It's only 20% that gets serious, gets pneumonia, and only 5% that gets like goes into critical condition and needs intensive care. But as you can see, there's huge difference between old and young people. So if you're young, yeah, even if you catch it, chances are you will be okay. But you certainly have to isolate yourself then, because if you infect older people, they might certainly die from it. The death rates are very high there. 10% of old people die from it. So he says that wearing a mask actually increases the chance that you touch your face, because people are adjusting the mask all the time. Yeah, but the point is you can touch the mask, not a problem, but you cannot touch your lips and your tongue and your nose and your eyes, because that's where you transfer from your fingers to your system, where it can go into your lungs. And so when you touch a mask that's in between, that's fine. You will put it on the mask. But you have to be very careful what you do with the mask then. You cannot just, yeah, it stays 7 days on the mask, the virus. So indeed, reusing the mask is dangerous, but required in most cases, as you don't have enough masks. But you really have to take out the mask in such a way that you don't touch the outside, but also when you store it in such a way that the virus cannot spread. And yeah, have to be careful. So a little comment on my investment strategy. I've long said that you should not sell crypto, especially not when it's seriously undervalued as it is today, compared to Trollo trend line. It is seriously undervalued. So you should always like stay invested and wait for it to go into fair valuation and then into overvaluation, and don't only then sell it. And this true. I am breaking that strategy here. Um, but yeah, there are other strategies that just take dominance that I find more valuable and make more sense to me than this rule. Because when investing, you create a lot of rules for yourself. So in the past, I did this wrong, so let's not do that again in the future. And you create a rule for yourself. But certain rules are just inferior than others, and I think it's very important to always update your rule system and get rid of rules that actually don't make up the logical test of argument. And this one doesn't make it. Why? Well, it's about probabilities. What rule is the most important? Only buy assets during a bear market. Only buy crypto when you can only buy crypto when it's seriously undervalued and not sell it, or you should follow the Kelly criterion, and when chance is high something goes up, you invest a lot. When chance is high something goes down, you invest nothing, huh? And you should go short if you want to make money. Which rule is the strongest? Which rule can you apply in most cases? Which rule will make you the most money? It's the last one, huh? Because the first one, you should buy crypto when it's seriously undervalued and then not sell it. Well, that's very limited rule. Like, crypto can fail, so it will not go to serious undervaluation, it will go to zero. So that means you will lose with that rule in one scenario all your investment, huh? Or it could take years before it goes out of serious undervaluation into fair valuation. That means you lost years of opportunity cost that you could have made money, but you didn't because you followed this rule to stick to crypto because it's seriously undervalued. All that money is stuck for maybe a very long time, huh? So these are two scenarios where this rule fails, huh? But you look at the Kelly criterion rule, like, you invest based on probabilities. If it has a high chance to go up, you invest a lot. If it has a high chance to go down, you invest little or you go short. Well, this is a much better rule, because if you apply this consistently, yes, sometimes the odds don't play in your favor and it has a high chance to go up or it has a high chance to go down. It doesn't happen. Okay, you miss out on making money. But on average, the odds will play out, huh? And you will make money. And that's a much better rule to follow. That's why I ditched the first rule. And here, it is very rare to have a situation where you can really estimate odds high for the market to go in a certain direction. That's very rare, huh? Even the 2008 crisis, I saw that coming, but I saw it coming at a very likely would be a bank crisis. If you studied the numbers, yes, that was very likely to happen. People were over leveraged in mortgages, overly bullish that house price would continue to go up into infinity. Valuations were way too high compared to the wages people made. So a crash in the housing bubble was likely, and that would very likely bring most banks into serious financial trouble. So that was all very likely. But when will it happen? It can take many years more, and all that time you'll be wrong and losing money or not making money. So timing is super difficult. And so even there, even when something is inevitable to happen, it's very difficult to estimate the time, and you need to get the time right also. Otherwise, yeah, the amount of money you make is a lot less. And then you need to even find the right instruments, which is also very difficult in advance to estimate but which assets will go up, which ones will go down. And actually I had that wrong. I actually thought that gold would go up a lot because banks go broke, people lose their saving accounts. What will they buy? Gold. Oh, yeah, because it has no counterparty risk. But I was wrong. During the 2008 financial crisis, gold went down with 10% in 2008. And and I thought silver was even better. Actually, I had more silver than gold, and I went down at 50%. So I had my instruments were chosen wrong, and I was despising long-term government bonds because it was only giving 4%, and inflation was higher. So I did not have any of that. That was the only asset that actually went up because interest rates went from 4% to 2 or 1%. The long-term interest rate, you would make like 30, 50% on those assets. So I picked the wrong assets, even though I saw the crisis coming. And yeah, you live, you learn. And so today, with the crisis like that, I've learned my lesson. And yeah, it's not gold that you should be investing in, but also like actually yeah, you can do government bonds, but a bit late, of course, because we're at historical lows. What is the 10-year or the 20-year interest rate? It's not 4% like in 2007, it's maybe 2%, so it went down already a lot. So upwards potential is low there. Even if we go to like 1% or 0% interest rate for long-term government bonds, upward potential is low compared to, for example, shorting the market, which I believe is a much more profitable investment, but also a much more ethical investment, of course, because investing in government bonds, like cash, is not a very ethical, moral thing to do, to invest in people in the fiat system that is supporting so much evil in the world. But betting on companies that are totally mismanaged and are laying at the government tits, like legacy automakers, that they will go to zero, is a very moral thing to bet on, and you really help the market. Because what you do is you short. It means you borrow shares from other people that are feeling bullish about it. They want to, and that are wrong. They should not be holding it. You're borrowing their shares, and you tell to them, "No worries, I will give you back the shares in the future, and in the meantime, I'll sell them, and I'll pocket the difference. If it goes down by 90%, well, I can buy back the shares at 10% of today's value and give them back to you. You'll be happy, right? You have your shares back, but." But what you do actually is you push down the prices of these legacy automakers by shorting them, because you borrow shares, you sell them today in the market, which should be done. These companies are not worth 50 billion, like GM or Group PSA or FCA, these European car makers. They are not worth 50 billion. They are worth zero, because they will go broke. Because they don't build value. They don't have a future. They are worth zero, not 50 billion or 100 billion. They also have more debt than the value of their company. Like GM, I don't know, has 100 billion debt and it's worth 50 billion or so. Like, it's ridiculous. Who does that? Who gives? Like, they go down in revenue every year. Like, that's a great tip. You want to short, invest in companies that go down in revenues instead of up. Because Peter Lynch, his golden tip was, you want to make money in the stock market? Invest in companies that are clearly growing their revenues year over year. That's a great investment. But inversely, that's true too. In companies that are losing, doing less sales years over year, those are great companies to short, because they are like, what are they doing? How can you lose, make less money every year? You're clearly doing something wrong then. Let me look at the comments. Hey, my girl wants to come out, but if I let her out, she will interrupt the show. I cannot. But we are already 1 hour in. I'm gonna have to shut it down too, guys. Yeah, we'll check out that video, Crypto Medius. Looks interesting, about the coronavirus committees. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, you have to make your investment decisions based on hard data. So someone saying here, Elliot in the chat, that it's all a made-up show, and people are taking advantage, making the coronavirus look much more worse than it is. But the data clearly shows that it's really growing exponentially, tenfolding every 2 weeks, and and also that 1% dies from it. Like, that's so many sources that confirm that. Like, that's a serious thing. It's not a flu, huh? It's not a flu, huh? A flu has the death rate of 20 times less, even 50 times less, huh? And flu does kill many people, especially elderly, but this one is 20 times more deadly, at least, maybe even 50 times more deadly, and it spreads much like a flu, but it's not seasonally. It doesn't seem that it's like seasonally connected. It seems to spread also in warm countries, huh? Fast. Yes, I'm going to have to shut it down, guys. But in the comments, some good tips what to do also. I will also post in the description some links, but just check my Twitter actually. You have some great links, some great tips on how you can protect yourself against the virus. So until when will it last this bear market? I think it can flush out very quickly. Discounts on markets, crashes can go very fast. So we may already in 2 months reach the low, and may already have to flip to going long again. But I will wait for the viral spread to stop rising exponentially. That's what I want to see, as happened in China, if the numbers are true. I think that will be also the bottom, when it's clear that the data shows that finally, like, it stops to spread exponentially, and on a day-to-day basis, instead of going up, we start to go flat in a number of new cases. It's not going up anymore. I think that will be the bottom also of the bear market, that we will see in all market stocks, and crypto, because these are bull markets. Real estate, that's another story. I think this may be very bad for real estate markets, because, well, it's many old people that die from it, and so that means lots of real estate, because they are the ones that own real estate, will come onto the market, and that may keep prices low for many years, and put the downward pressure there, because real estate markets are overvalued. They are used as a store of money due to the fiat system not working properly. You can't save money on a bank account. The value of your money goes down. So many people use real estate as a store of value, and so they buy houses to save money. But that's especially older people also, and that's changing. That culture is changing, and so I think many of these houses will come onto the market, and the new generation, they have other investment opportunities. Millennials, they can see that that's what their parents and grandparents advise, to buy homes and more homes to rent, but they are more, they are not so, like, they want to move around more, and they have crypto to invest in, and so, and that's a decent money system that we have now. So I think the world is changing, and real estate is actually not a good investment long term. Of course, you can make tons of money with real estate if you use lots of leverage, and you study the market and all that, and you buy low, sell high. As a business, yes, but as a passive investor, that's a different story. You used to be able to make lots of money with that. I think that will go down over time. Okay, I'm gonna let my baby come say hi, and that means that the show is very close to finishing. Come, Joy. My beautiful girl, huh? Now 1 year old. Ga je bij papa zitten, huh? You gonna sit with daddy, huh? But the babies, they are the most dangerous ones because everybody wants to touch babies, and when they catch it, they don't die from it, but they'll give it to their parents and grandparents and they will die from it. So really have to change your habits with babies. People cannot carry joy anymore. That's over now. And yeah, I'm really going into a quarantine, which means that when I come out, I wear the mask, I will with the protective gear. I will start with gloves now too. I have glasses even. But of course you look like a fool because most people don't do that yet. But yeah, it's worth it because people really underestimate the amount of people that are infected already. So, but it means, yeah, it's like social contact is so important, and so for children especially, and that you can have a lot less, so a lot more pressure on the family. But okay, it's something I need to do anyway. I've made many mistakes. Hey, yeah, she wants to see something here on YouTube. Wil jij iets zien? Kijk, wie is dat, hè? Wow, wow, wow. Huh? I'm gonna have to put on something here if I want to continue to talk with you guys. So let me do that. YouTube is your best friend, hè? Best baby friend. Wacht. Wachten, Joy. Wachten. Momentje. Yeah, this is not gonna work here, guys. I'm gonna have to end the show because even if she watches YouTube, she wants me to change it all the time. It is quite the job, huh? Quite the job. So I don't think I can go through all the comments. I think it's best I shut it down here and I give you guys time to do other things. So thanks all for joining, and I wish you all good luck in the markets. I hope I was helpful to inspire you to take the right actions and basically to sell assets, sell stocks, sell crypto. Like, it's really not a good bet to take to be long in the markets today. Yeah, that's coffee, huh? And the right bet is to be short. Like, it's very likely markets will go down if you look at the data. And so if you want to make money, you should not be long, you should be short. The question is, how much you want to go short with your money, with your portfolio? You want to go 20% short and the rest cash, or 50% short or the rest cash, or you want to go 100% short? And I think that makes a lot of sense because it's so rare for it to be so probable that the markets will go down. It's so rare, and also the timing. It's so rare that you can be it's very probable that it will go very fast right now because you can see it, the exponential growth of the virus will directly influence the markets as the news comes out, as it tenfolds every week, as in 1 week and a half we have not 10,000 but 100,000 people infected worldwide. It will crash the markets very likely right there. It won't take another year. No, it will take maybe 1 month more than you expect or 2 months more than you expect, but that's it. And in the meantime, markets really cannot move up much. It's very difficult. If every day more and more bad news comes out, how can markets go up and pump and destroy your portfolio by being short? It's very unlikely. So this is a very high probability bet to take that is really worth it, because if you are able to make money in such a difficult climate, and then after you can invest with more money in the prices of quality companies, what is it? And quality currencies, then you're doing very well. Bye all! Have a great day. Rewatch the show if you missed the beginning.